Discoverability is so important for your book's title. Hey, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're diving into a very crucial aspect of the book publishing process, and that is creating a compelling title for your book. Your book's title is like a storefront window. It needs to grab the attention of your reader and keep it. As much as we've been told not to judge books by their covers, we all do. And that includes the book's title. Your book's title should have 3 very important things, so make sure you stay tuned to the very end of the video so I can make sure to get to all 3 of them. Before we begin, my name is Courtney and I help people self-publish their books. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, click the notification bell, give the video a thumbs up, and feel free to leave a comment at any time to ask a question or let me know what additional content you might want to see. All right, so let's get started. The key to writing a compelling book title begins with understanding your target audience. Who are these people? What are they reading? What are they doing? Where are they buying their books from? You really need to get to know what I call your ideal client avatar. Well, it's not just what I call it, it's what it's called in marketing. You can begin by doing your own version of market research. There's no one way to do this, but I'll give you a few suggestions. Conducting market research can provide invaluable insights into the preferences and expectations of your ideal reader. Understanding who exactly you're speaking to is going to help you to develop a better selling title. Your book does need to be titled properly for the market you're trying to attract. Consider Amazon and other popular book e-commerce platforms and in-person stores as a way for potential people who do not know you at all to find you. Even if you already have an existing audience, I want you to think big picture here, especially if you're writing a nonfiction book. There are 2 different types of audiences when you're writing either fiction or nonfiction. With fiction, readers are mostly looking to be entertained. But with nonfiction, readers are looking to be educated and to understand something, to really dig deep into a concept. But in both cases, readers don't generally care who the author is as long as the book fulfills its purpose. So knowing this, we want to be very smart and strategic about planning our book's title, specifically for nonfiction, to ensure it communicates exactly what you're going to provide for your reader. Now, you can get started by doing some deep diving and brainstorming on your target reader. I have a really great free resource that is pinned to the top of my YouTube channel that you can get called the Book Clarity Blueprint, and that will really help you dig deep and understand exactly who your target reader is. It includes a full workbook as well as an audio component. I'll put the link to it in my description as well. Now, a book that is titled for identifying women is going to be inherently different than a book that is titled specifically for identifying men. Similarly, a book that is titled for a younger demographic is going to be different than a book that's titled for the boomer generation. So while you're doing your market research and learning about your ideal reader, you also want to do some market research about existing titles on top 10 lists, on Amazon, on Barnes & Noble, and find out what titles look like in the genres and in the target age groups of the book where you want to be. Consider books in the ages and genres of the ideal target reader that you're trying to attract, and make notes on any trends you notice. And this could include language, tone, style, and length of the title. Now let's touch again on strategic titling for your book. Most people who will come across your book on e-commerce platforms like Amazon do not know you at all. They've never heard of you before. Even if you have a unique trademark system, blueprint, method for achieving whatever the result is that you're going to give your reader in this book, I would encourage you not to use your unique terminology inside the title of your book. Doesn't mean you can't mention it in the content of your book, but in the title, we are trying to attract people to the content for what the purpose is, not who you are as an author. Those who already know you and live in your existing ecosystem are going to buy whatever book you put out, no matter what the title is. So to be strategic, we want to make sure the title attracts new readers on platforms where they know nothing about you. Now, I'm going to give you a real example to help illustrate this. I think it will really help things land. My very first self-published nonfiction book was called Confident as F. This book is about learning to love your body, build your self-love and your confidence, especially when you're a brand new mom in that postpartum phase. At the time that this book came out, I was building a brand that was focused on self-love and confidence for new moms. And not surprisingly, my brand was actually called Confident AF. I no longer run that brand, but that's where I was at the time when this was published. Now, I knew I was going to use my existing social media platforms to sell this book, and I had amassed quite a large following at the time of ideal client readers for this book. So I knew I was going to sell it there. The problem with this terminology and the fact that confident isn't actually even a real word, I think I might have made it up, is that I really ran into trouble attracting new people into purchasing my book on platforms like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, etc., because people are not searching for the term confident. What would have been better is to use a phrase like confident AF and then use the subtitle accordingly to explain what the book was about. So this is a time where I was thinking I was going to leverage my existing brand and the fans I already had, which is fine, but it didn't allow for strategically the exposure to new people on an entirely different platform. In order to attract new readers who just wanted the content, knew nothing about me, and to give them a chance to get to know me as a writer and a person and to introduce my brand to them, I would have been far better to use a much more search-friendly term, like confidence or confident, versus a term that I had made up that was sort of my trademark phrase. And this is where discoverability is so important for your book's title. I want you to let go of the clever, cute, fun sayings that match your existing brand if you have one, and create something that just errs on the side of simplicity. What is your book going to do for people? Create a title that really clearly helps explain that so simply that a 5-year-old could understand it. In this example, my existing audience would buy my book no matter what it was called. It really didn't matter if I had my brand name in the title. So when in doubt, lean on simplicity and be as straightforward as possible with your title. All right, I think we all know that attention spans are shorter than ever these days. So aim for a title that is short, concise, and easy to remember. Short titles are not only more memorable, but more visually appealing on book covers and in marketing when you go to promote the book. Brainstorm different titles that are clear and concise, but also have that element of making people notice. And here's what I mean by that. Now, for example, one of my favorite authors is a woman called Denise Duffield-Thomas. She has multiple books and also has a very successful business helping people build their money mindset. But the first book that drew me in and made me become a customer of multiple of her other books, as well as some of her mini courses, was a book called Get Rich, Lucky Bitch. Now, when I came across this book, and it was actually the audiobook that I came across, I did not know Denise Thomas at all. I knew nothing about her. I'd never heard of her before. It was literally the title of the book that drew me in and made me click the buy button. Denise's title was short, sweet, compelling, and had a make people notice factor. Something I was trying to achieve with my Momfident AF title, but I missed the mark slightly, and I don't want you to do the same thing. After I purchased Get Rich, Lucky Bitch from Denise Duffield-Thomas, there were multiple other things that Denise had mentioned in her book, and not only that, she was funny, she was compelling, she was reading her own audiobook, and she had an Australian accent. So I just loved everything about the experience of going through her book, and that made me want to become a customer of more of her books and products. And that really all started with the catalyst of a catchy, short, straightforward title that made me notice. If book titling is done right, it can properly start the buyer sequence and put people on a journey of wanting to consume more from you. So this is why titling your book is so important. Now, just because you have come up with a few titles that you think might work best, don't make your final decision until you do some split testing. Test out different options with focus groups, beta readers, and conduct some A/B testing structures. Feedback from others can provide valuable insights and help you refine your title until it resonates with the right people. Now, one word of caution here, be sure to consider the people that are in your testing group when you conduct this research. Friends and family members are not always the right kind of people to give you feedback in this instance. Consider that ideal reader or your ideal reader avatar and find people who fit within this demographic. Getting the honest feedback of someone who actually fits your target demographic is going to be far more valuable than getting feedback from, let's say, your mom, who's probably just going to tell you everything looks good. Unless, of course, your mom fits that ideal reader avatar. For my second nonfiction book, which is called Authorized and is actually all about how to write and self-publish your own nonfiction book, I did a lot more A/B testing with my target demographic, asking questions about the title, the subtitle, as well as the cover design of this book. Some of the feedback I got was from people who were outside of my ideal reader demographic, and for that reason, I had to sort of let that feedback slide and focus on the people who are actually in my target demographic. One of the biggest changes for this book in particular came with my subtitle. Initially, it was a little bit too complex and long, and it needed to really be streamlined and pared down so that it was so simple a 5-year-old could understand. And the subtitle is now How to Write and Self-Publish a Nonfiction Book on Amazon. Writing a compelling book title is both an art and a science. There's no one straight answer. By understanding your audience, capturing the essence of your book, making it short and memorable, and potentially making it something that stands out so that people will notice, as well as testing and refining your title with the right people, you can increase the chances of grabbing readers' attention and enticing them to explore your book further, so essentially they click that buy button. If you are currently working on potential titles for your book, I would love to hear what your options are. Put them in the comments below. I'm happy to weigh in on my thoughts. And as well, I think you'll find that other people will be willing and more than happy to comment. Just make sure they're the right people for your book's target demographic before you take their advice too seriously. So that's all for today. I hope you found these tips helpful. The 3 biggest things you want to do with your book title is to make it something that's enticing or turn people's heads, make them notice, something that is easily discoverable, and something that fits within the language, tone, and length of titles for the people in your target demographic. Those are the 3 things. If you found this video helpful, please make sure that you give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment if and when it feels right. Doing those things costs you nothing but helps my videos to reach more people who need my help. Until next time, happy writing, good luck.